Everyone talks gains, 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 gains. At the end of the day, what are you going to do with the gains? How are you going to maintain gains, right? And what's interesting is gains become a mentality. That's what we're going to dive deeper into. I think at the end, I think that's where I want to bring us. But I just kind of I sprinkled a little beginning of where we're going to go. So I'm also have some listeners here I'm going to invite to speak. Kevin, would love to have you speak. Richard, as always, love hearing you talk, man. Um, Crypto Billy as well. And if anyone else has any, this is where I want really people to jump on in. This is where I want the shy person that's in my trading group that never gets a chance to talk comes in and decides to speak tonight. Or feels like this is the place for them. I want to see so many people just open up and talk. That's another reason why I do this. But my name's Sam Price. I am 40 years old. I began trading when I was 25. A little bit before that, I was speculatively like researching it and looking at it. But I made my first like open an account and bought something when I was 25 years old. Continued to buy and speculate. And as the market goes, it's like in your mind, the market's only there for you at that time. It's weird. Like you buy Apple and you only think for the next 5 years it'll matter. But like here we are 15 years later. Some of the same stocks that you could have bought when I first came into the game. You'd be a lot wealthier now had you bought them, but similar opportunities. And I also realized this too. I believe in karma, and I believe everyone starts with a clean slate. And that also goes with financial freedom. Like everyone has a clean slate to gain financial freedom. And right now, there's someone is like 12 or 14 years old, maybe even 16, and they're just researching what investing is. And you know, so people always say, "Oh, you're late." So yeah, maybe they couldn't get Bitcoin at $300, but there's something for that person at that age that's going to make them a millionaire or a billionaire. And there's someone at that age that's going to become a millionaire or a billionaire through trading, right? Like it's going to happen. I mean, I know it's far, a smaller minority at that point when we get into billions of dollars. But the point of that, where I'm going there is there's always opportunity for you, no matter your age or where you begin. And if you believe that, there is opportunity, and I always talk about this, but it's like I think it's a topic that people, they go over, but they don't really discuss what it really means. I think there's a lot of that in society. People say things, but they don't really discuss what they truly mean, and we just, we want to make sure that when, you're chasing financial freedom, gaining financial freedom, the crux is always, you're going after an idea and an intention, you know, super, super important. Because at one point you need to sustain it longer anyway. So I'm 25 years old. I began looking at different investments at that age, at a pretty young age. Didn't have anyone in my family that was into investing or anything like that. And yeah, just to end that last tangent in a bit, but you are the opportunity. Like you have to believe that. And that's what I meant. Like people say, oh, you're the opportunity. But what that really means is you wake up every day, you have to believe in yourself. 90% of the time, at least, you got to feel good and wake up positive. Because if you're the opportunity and you don't feel good, how are you going to attract, positive energy into your life? So your energy will create what goes on. So I just preach this so much that you are the opportunity, you know. But and for years I wasn't the opportunity, and that's why I wasn't where I needed to be. I was a little bit of the opportunity, but I wasn't everything for myself that I needed to be. So I've been on both sides of the court, and I understand how to coach someone from one side to the other, right? And anyway, just to give you another backstory. So as I started trading, I'm learning, I'm researching. I see that the housing crisis is coming, and I start researching gold and silver, and I started buying gold and silver bars. Then I got into trading it. Then I traded a gold and silver stock. Then I traded a silver miner that made a pretty good investment, like $2,000 turned into about 10 grand. It was the first time I 5x my money. It only took like 2.5 months. It wasn't long. And I said, wow, this is how people are living in these homes. Like it made sense. Things started to make sense to me because I heard about investing. But when you finally make your first investment and watch it actually happen, no matter how small or big it is, and for me at the time, it was huge because my savings was probably like 10 or 15 grand, and I made 10 grand, you know, off of $2,000 too. So I was like, wow, I was amazed. I really couldn't believe it. It was almost like it felt like magic to me. For someone that had always traded my time for money, I said, wow, there's something here to this, you know. And as I got older, I kept researching, and what I was doing was I didn't know what I was doing at first, but I was researching, and then I was basically speculating on where society was going to go. Like, oh, marijuana is going to be legal, then I should buy marijuana stocks, right? And at the time, I just thought I was like a savvy guy who knew better. You know, I don't know. But when I look back now, I'm like, there's a pattern to how I began to invest, and I call myself a speculative investor mainly because I look into where we're going to go. Right now, AI is going to play a narrative. There's going to be another time where ChatGPT, another one comes out, a battle for them. Stocks with AI is going to be big. Any AI coin, and it's going to hit the crypto. Right when probably we have already halved and Bitcoin's ripping, and I believe there's going to be a huge couple of weeks. Months here and there, but there's going to be a few weeks, probably a 2 to 4 week period where we just see an insane blow up in AI. So like I have AI coins from small to big, and I have a portfolio. I'll still add here and there for little things that I find, just because I'm always speculating. And the key is to always, I believe, is to look forward a little bit if you can. The greatest investments are the ones that people haven't seen yet, right? And see, but that takes guts, because at the time, no one's there to hold your hand and tell you it's going to happen for sure, right? And so, and I want to segue that into how to keep wealth once created. Is there is a portion of wealth that should be segmented off to more investing, like to constantly investing. You know what I mean? Like even once I'm financially comfortable, it's more about how much wealth, I believe, how much wealth can you maintain and grow, and then use that for the betterment of society. Use that for the betterment of what you believe. Say you really believe in alternative green farming or something like that, or and or there's a way you want to raise cattle in a different manner, but you love meat. Whatever it is, like, you could make $1 billion and then dedicate yourself to building a whole new way of doing it scientifically, right? And maybe you waste a few millions of dollars, like going through all different types of testings till you find something that changes the world. To me, because I was talking to my cousin last night, and I was like, I desire to be a billionaire, and he was like, why? Like, what? He's like, and I was like, it's not for the money. I was like, at one point, it's not for the homes. It's not to say I'm a billionaire. I was like, it's for the influence that you could have in the world. I was like, it's just a tool. I said, just more tools. To be a billionaire would to be someone to have more tools, right? Um, with that being said, I wanted to bring up Kevin first. He's here online, and Kevin's a really interesting individual. If you've never met Kevin, heard Kevin, I definitely check out his Twitter right now. Everyone that I really bring up is self-made, someone that is grinded from the bottom to the top, really, and you can tell by the way they speak, and by the way they respect money, and by the way they hustle. And Kevin's a very inspiring man, and he knows a lot, and he's super humble about it too as well. But yeah, Kevin, I'd like to hear. The topic is how to keep wealth once created, and I'm in the process of that. I don't have all the answers, but I definitely haven't been able to maintain what I've gained throughout the years. And you're someone I look up to, and I think I can always learn from.
Yo, Sam. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing me up. Man, I don't know what you're talking about, though, bro. Change the world. What about Lambos and clubs in Miami and VIP? We're not doing that,
Yeah, yeah,
Sam.
no,
We're,
no,
we're
no,
just going to
all night
become
long,
billionaires.
baby.
That's it.
Champagne all night.
Nah, I feel you, man. Just be prepared for this cycle, man. I humble myself every single day, man, with the people I look up to, people like you, man. Your info that I'm learning every day about trading. But I'm super weary for new people coming into this cycle and all the scams that's going to happen, all the AI scams and all the pump and dumps and rug pulls that we've seen in previous cycles. I'm really scared for the new investors, man. That's really not, they're coming in with, we all going to make it. We're all going to make it. Like, no, man, we're not all going to make it. But if you're in here, man, you're probably pretty smart. So, man, kudos for all of y'all for taking the time to, educate yourselves.
Yeah, and one question I want to ask you is, On your road to wealth, you're someone that I believe is going to be very wealthy already. I'm not blowing you up, but someone I believe that is on the potential to become, multi-millionaire, billionaire, even. You know, what if so someone new, say someone hits big, they make 6 to 7 million in the next run, they have no idea what they're doing. How would that person maintain wealth? You know, like any tips for that?
Yeah, I would obviously, this is kind of like a redundant, put your money in cash flowing assets, And look, guys, I might be a little wild, but I'm really a conservative kind of investor. I put money in index funds and I've read a lot of books, a lot of investing books and these index funds, people laugh at them, but they outperform like 80 something percent of hedge funds. So I know it's not the sexiest answer you wanted from me, Sam, but investing in multifamily or single family cash flow in real estate or buying index funds. I mean, if I made 8 million this cycle, a lot of it would go there. So I know that's not the sexiest answer, but
No, everyone. This is what the beautiful thing about the spaces is. I want to hear answers from everybody, and honestly, that may be sexy to someone. Like it's about maintaining. You know, I cowboyed up. I went all in on Bitcoin. When it was around $1,000, I put a lot of what I had. I wasn't that wealthy anyway, so it wasn't tons of money, but I went basically all in. And had it not played out, I would have been, had to go back and figure it out again and created a savings. And you know, I would have been okay with it because I was willing to take a shot. And I said, something that halves every 4 years and they're going to keep printing money. I figured I had a really good chance of winning. You know what I mean? Like that simple. It was that simple to me. Like I didn't even like, yeah, I broke down the deep, deep, deep ins and outs of Bitcoin, and I decided I knew it pretty well. I'm not saying I'm a genius brainiac, but I figured it out better, I think, than the average person. It made sense to me, and it made sense to me pretty fast. I didn't need to be told. But the point of all that is, once I had aped into something and went pretty crazy, like now I don't do that. Like you said it wasn't the sexiest answer, but like I understand that 100% now because now I'm not gonna do the craziest thing in the world. Like I may buy a meme coin. I'm sorry, me and Kevin may buy a Pepe, but like I'm gonna put 500 to maybe at the very most 3,000. I'm not putting more than I'm willing to lose inside of a meme. You know, like 5 to 10% of my portfolio at the very least. I'm putting in on a meme coin. Um, I'm still in speculative. I'm still gonna take a shot, but and like so another. You start basically if you've made a lot of money and you've done well, the risk factor should get lower, right? And you should start to actually you know put that wealth in some place where it can foundationally grow at a nice, easy pace. You know what I mean?
that's the Sam. That's the answer. A lot of people don't want to hear that. The more wealth you acquire, you really do want to de-risk yourself as much as possible because you've already won.
Yeah, you don't want to end up back and having to go back to work again. You know, I've seen like,
Well,
have you ever seen those documentaries where people win the lottery for like 100 mil and they end up broke?
oh, pro athletes. I mean, what is it like 80% or something of NBA, NFL players end up broke? And that's really sad, man, because that could be anybody. That could be any of us. So don't think that, even if you have financial education, man, anything can happen.
Now, if you had to balance a portfolio between an ETF and real estate, would it be like 50-50? Would you always feel safer in a cash flowing real estate? Are you a dividend guy? Or does it depend on the market at the time? You know,
Definitely not dividends, more into real estate. I love the index funds. And look, y'all, if you see my stock portfolio right now, I got winners, I got losers. But like when I look at the index fund, it really hit me. I'm like, man, if I would have just put all my money into this index fund, I'd be doing so much better right now. But also, y'all, don't sleep on cash flowing businesses. So, if you come out of this cycle with a nice little bag, man, if you can invest that, some type of cash flowing business that you're passionate about, that, like it's not like going to work for you, that this could jumpstart you, and then you could really take that bag you made in crypto and really multiply it.
interesting. Yeah, and there's franchises out there too. Um, Interesting.
Oh, dude, I know a friend. He bought a bunch of like drying equipment. You know, like when a house gets like flooded or water damage, all the dehumidifiers and dryers. Spent like 10 grand in equipment, but man, he makes 2 to 10 grand a job. So it's crazy, man. But it is work. It is work.
Yeah, no, no, no. Invest in yourself to get to the next level.
But Sam, we gotta always start with the safe route. But what about the unsafe route? Like what's some gambles you're taking, man?
Well, right now it's interesting. I've been watching tiny micro trends that are paying off. Proof of work, like tiny micro cap proof of work coins. Because you have STX, you have Bitcoin ordinals, and proof of work is coming back in a way. It's kind of interesting, and there's been a little bit of a micro trend, and I recently was able to 7x on a coin, and I sold at about a 6x. I think at one point we were up even a 9x, and I still got back in too. Like I'm not out of the project. When it dipped a little bit, I bought in with the profits, but that's been lucrative. And catching trends that last even 2 to 3 days long. Uh, I traded bonk. Finally I got pulled. I didn't get in. I didn't get. Sometimes you don't get it. Like sometimes I get it early. Like I got Pepe early, and what I mean get it is like you understand the coin, you realize what's going on, you realize that there's hype about it, and you just need to ride the wave. Bonk, I just didn't understand. Like I didn't really get it. And then it kept going up, and I was like, hey, I'm not gonna chase something. And that was like 2 months ago. I was gonna chase it, and but I threw in a good amount, and I swung traded for some gains, and it was ended up being pretty lucrative just the last couple days. So it's been fun. I mean, there's been even today, STX is up pretty nice, despite even when Bitcoin dipped yesterday, STX is holding gains, and there's a whole ordinals trend going on too that I think people are not paying attention to. I'm gonna make a few videos about it in Spotlight, but ordinals and even rare satoshis. Like if you bought a Bitcoin years ago, you might be sitting on a satoshi worth like 5 grand, 10 grand, seven, and enough to almost buy you another half a Bitcoin, even if you're willing to part with what's called a rare satoshi. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. BRC20, which some people know, I think everyone knows. Maybe there's some people here that don't know what a BRC20 is, but what it is, it's basically an NFT and a token on the Bitcoin network. And you can access them through Alex Labs. You can go Alex Labs, and you can use Alex or STX. And they're building too, and they're adding to it every day, making it more efficient. And soon it's going to be like feel more like a pancake swap and a BNB, and it's going to work pretty efficiently. So yeah, and there's ordinals too, which are inscriptions on top of satoshis. You know, that's basically what they are. The name is an ordinal, and what you can do is you can put a bunch of inscriptions together, and you can make an NFT collection. And that's what people are kind of doing, and really they'll make an inscription with so many, and it's basically like a coin in a way, but it's very unique, and they can 10x and 5x. There was actually a Pepe before the real Pepe on BRC20 that got big about 7 months ago. It like 10x or no, I think it almost did like 100x before Pepe even did. People didn't even know about it. And Francis Dunn, if you ever check out Francis Dunn Uncensored, he's super into ordinals, and he catches a lot of trends early. He's super interesting. He used to be the Crypto Lifestyle channel. But yeah, but those are some of the things that I'm doing just to like, grow a bag, turn 1 grand into 10 grand. I recently opened up a new KuCoin account, and I put 7 grand in there, and I just want to see what I can do. And I recently flipped it to 8, and I'm gonna go from there. And I like these. I like opening up these new accounts with challenges while I have other accounts going on. Something about being in a clean account makes it more challenging to me. But yeah, there's so much opportunity. Even when Bitcoin dipped, people focus all on Bitcoin in the macro, And yeah, the market took a little dip for sure. And you know, we may not be completely out right now. We did make a nice comeback even right now as we're speaking. Bitcoin took a nice little pump back up, but there's so much opportunity all around the market at all times. You know.
Bro, I'm real glad you brought up ordinals, man, because and y'all look, full disclaimer, I'm telling y'all about the safe stuff. NFTs, I think, are going to melt faces next cycle. Now, I was actually looking at my NFT portfolio the other day, and I'm telling you right now, if Charlie Munger, rest in peace, Charlie Munger, if he saw my NFT portfolio, he'd be rolling in his grave right now, y'all. So understand these NFT investments, super, super speculative. So I just think that the big money, when this market pumps, I think that people aren't going to want to have a quote unquote taxable event. Talk to your CPA, and that they're going to transfer that money into some big name NFTs. So now choosing the right ones, it's you playing a very dangerous game. But I'm glad you brought that up, Sam.
Interesting. And yeah, with that, I want to swing it over to Crypto Billy if you're there. And topic is how to keep wealth once created. They go off a little off topic, but not really in a really, because I'm talking about how to dig into the market for some high risk investments. But also, when I say that, I'm using a very small amount of my portfolio, right? Like I still am keeping 50% in Bitcoin. I'm still looking into real estate. I'm still, always going after a 7 streams of income, you know. But for someone that's done it and still does it, Crypto Billy, how's your day going? Number one, and you know, what are some things you could tell a young man who comes into wealth in this next? Because really, what the value of this space is for the person that I know is going to make a bunch of money. They don't even know it yet. There's someone in this space. There's tons of people, and they plan on making money, and they're going to make more money than I think they realize. And I want them to start kind of thinking ahead a little bit for what they could do and not get overly excited, buy too many things that they don't need and get themselves into a hole when they had already made a bunch of money.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, thanks for having me. I will tell you what not to do, and that is don't put your money in a savings account or a 401k. Those are losers, right? What has worked for me? Muscle cars, Rolex watches, land. I have owned franchises. I've owned a Napa franchise. I've owned a Subway franchise. I've owned a Chester's Chicken franchise. Those are cash flowing businesses that I built up and sold. So for me, I keep it simple. I'm now pretty much into what you're into, Sam. I'm into crypto, right? So I am going to invest in Bitcoin like crazy. But if you and I have been invested in Bitcoin, but if you want to diversify into other things, the muscle cars, guys, they're real. During the '08 crisis, '09, '10, I had a fleet of them, right? And when I had to sell those off to pivot because of the downturn, and I'm in the home building industry, I build houses and been in the home building industry for a long time. When that crashed, you had to be diversified, uh, or you probably wasn't going to make it. So you had to go to other income streams or assets. So the muscle cars, if you know, now it's like Bitcoin, right? You can't just jump into crypto and think you're going to hit the big winner and 10x, 100x, whatever. You do have to educate yourself. You do have to learn. You do have to study it. You do have to surround yourself with people like you, Sam. I surround myself with with people like you to learn. But once you have that baseline, a good foundation and understanding, uh, you can run with it, and that's what you got to do a little bit with muscle cars. But I've always been passionate about muscle cars. My mom and dad raced GTOs back in the '60s, and I grew up kind of at the racetrack. If we weren't at the farm, so but if you do learn a little bit about them, they appreciate when everything else is going down, right? So if you want to diversify, that's one way. Watches, I got a huge watch collection. uh, they've always paid. They've always paid. So I can't tell you in my lifetime. I'm getting ready here to turn 58. uh, I can't tell you when they failed me. They've never failed me. So that's what I would do. I hope it helps some of these younger guys. And if you go to auctions like the Cruise auction in Indiana or Barrett Jackson, or if you just find a muscle car that you can afford, and some of them you can get right now, you got to do a little work, but you can buy them mint, right? You can buy a numbers matching 100-point car, which you're going to pay for, but it is not going to go down. You buy a Hemi Cuda, you buy a 66 GTO, you buy some of these uh, true muscle cars, and you put them in your garage, and you drive them to parades, and you drive them around, look cool in them for a while, and drive them sparsely, but enjoy them and let them sit. They're just going to appreciate like crazy. So that's one thing that I can say that I've done, and it's worked for me, and hopefully it can work for somebody else.
I'm gonna start building my garage right now, my 18-car garage. You know what I mean? Just like,
Yeah,
once I
man.
start buying, I get into something. It seems that just accumulates out of control. Like even if I don't think much about it, I get one, then two. The next thing you know, I'll be like,
Yeah.
I need 10 of these things. You know?
It's kind of like Bitcoin, right? You gotta have more. You gotta have more.
Yeah, it never ends. You know.
And you run into friends that are just as passionate about a muscle car. I was in the Vipers for a while, right? And my friends started going to Viper Club meetings, and next thing you know, I had to have one, then I had to have two, right? It's just what happens, And next thing you know, I'm building a barn, a huge, barn, 2,400 square foot barn to store my muscle cars in, right?
Of
And
course.
of course, I can't just store them on concrete. I have to lay this thing out, slat wall everywhere, a living area, black and white checker tile. Next thing you know, I got, you know, you got to remember a few years back. So it was like 100 grand in my car barn to store my muscle cars.
Yeah.
So you can really degen out on it. But they are a good investment. And I would highly recommend, especially younger people. It's not an area that people look at as a traditional investment, but they have always, for me, speaking for myself, they've always appreciated. And give you examples. I bought a GTO for $19,000, and I sold it for $36,000, and that was a span of about 8 years, 7, 8 years. I bought a '65 Mustang for 12,500 roughly, and I sold that for like 27,000 just a couple years later. The Vipers, and I just sold my Hellcat, right? So I had the 707 horses Hellcat, and the only reason I sold it was because I'm getting ready to build a house for my daughter and my son-in-law, and they wanted to sell their house and move in with me, and I didn't want to have kids around my muscle car. And so, because I know what will happen, right? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm so like, stay away. You got to stay away from that. Don't touch. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to go through the aggravation. And I took that money from that Hellcat, and I bought Bitcoin. And like you, Sam, I bought it. I think you got in at 19.2. I got in at 19.5. And wow, how's that paid off, right? I mean, that's been a great move. But muscle cars are a great opportunity if you have some cash that you've built up through this next market here, and you want to put it in a place that's going to be diversified from crypto, but still be a positive cash flow generator for you when you sell it, and you get to have fun with it. You also get to enjoy it. So that would be one, and of course, Rolex watches have always been good to me too. They've always been good to me too. So.
Excuse me, Billy. What's the insurance like on the muscle cars? And man, you said you had a franchise or something? Can you tell us about that?
So in the muscle car industry, there's insurance companies that just insure your muscle cars. So Haggerty is one. So if you Google them, what they do is they base the insurance rate based on uh, how much you're going to drive it. So you claim that up front. So you say, I'm going to store these. They're not going to be heavy drivers. I'm going to store these 11 months a year, maybe drive it 1 month a year, and it's cheap, man. The insurance and they're fully insured for the value of the car. It's not as bad as you think it is, but those are specialized insurance companies that work with muscle car enthusiasts and car collectors to ensure you're not paying the rates that the general public pay for car insurance. So, and there's other. I use Haggerty myself, but there's other companies out there that do that. Franchises through my life, yeah, I build a. Yeah, I've said this on one of Sam's spaces. I decided to build a gas station. I branded it with Citco back at the time, which we rebranded to Marathon later on. But and within that C store, within that gas station, $1 million facility, that I went with uh, Chester's Chicken, which is a franchise, and I also separately owned a Napa store franchise myself. So uh, my whole goals with the retail business sides of things was to build them up, have them cash flow positive, and then sell them, and then take that seed cash to do other things with. So
Wow, that's exactly what I do. I love that, bro.
yeah, man, yeah. I made my first million at 34, but I lost my first million at 44 with that housing crash. I
Hey,
mean,
hey,
that was a
man.
horrible
Hey,
thing.
I feel like we all got a bunch of scars, but yeah, man, I was in the ATM business, so I know how much them convenience stores can make, especially if you had good chicken, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. Thank you.
Cool.
Man, you
Yeah.
got me thinking, bro. Like, I sold my ATM business, but like, it's kind of fun, being on that operation side sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. The whole ownership piece, Sam talks about it, you got to find your way, find your voice, find your calling. And there's just no doubt that, I'm a guy that has a vision, built, I see things and I go and execute them, uh, action creates motivation, right? So you got to act on it. I am not, even though my degree's in finance and I have, I have a full finance degree, but I don't like the minutia of the numbers and busting it down like an accountant, right? I am more of a bigger picture type of guy. However, with that said, I can do that and I will do it and I'll grind through it to get into the granular level. I call that my owl, the owl in me, but I hate it. I'm a creator, right? As far as a thinker, a creator thinker. But I can do it.
Dude, nah, man, that's kind of like I'm kind of like living the same thing, just trying to get over some humps. But man, y'all, just kind of off subject, but I talked to the former CEO of Overstock today, and he told me real shit. He has all his money, half his money in Bitcoin, and the rest in gold and silver because he's being debanked. So, not financial advice, just something y'all need to think about. The former CEO of Overstock, told me that fact.
Yeah. Gold, silver, I have that as well. So I can't say anything bad as far as using it to diversify. I can't say anything bad about that myself.
Billy, my biggest goal is to come out of this when Sam says how to keep wealth once created, and being able to take my whether it's Bitcoin, altcoins, NFTs, and be able to make passive income off of that. Like essentially, like when these loan services get bigger and not crash on us, being able to just make money off because they're assets. So we should be able to cash flow off all of our crypto if we play it right.
Do we need a co-host here? Do I need to help out?
Did it get rugged?
I don't think it
Sorry,
did.
can you
Just
hear me?
nobody's speaking.
Oh, my bad, man. Yeah, I just didn't want to keep talking. I seen they had some other people that wanted to come up. Yeah, man, I'm not good at like y'all just come up and say whatever. I'm sorry.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Billy.
Yes.
But Crypto Pro and Crypto, I can't see his name. They got their hands up. So
Yeah, Sam must. Sam, are you there?
nah, it's all good. He must have got rugged or whatever. But
Nah, you can hear me. I just forget to
uh,
hit the mic. I just forget to hit the
Oh,
mic button. I had it on
oh,
the whole
okay,
time,
man.
then I turned it off.
me and Crypto Billy were about to be like, man, we're the captain now.
I
But all
was just
right,
gonna
Sam's
ask
back,
Richard.
y'all.
What's weird about it was, you guys spoke to me as if I was in succession because I was like, I was gonna move to Richard now and see what Richard has to say, and then I stopped talking, right? And then Richard's like, "Do I need a host here?" And I was like, "No, it's going all right. It's going all right." And then Kevin said something, so I was like everyone spoke around exactly what I said, so I was like, "Oh, they can hear me." Yeah, but I was gonna move to Richard, and then I'm gonna take the next three hands that I see coming up beneath. Yeah, sorry, Prometheus and the two other people. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good, man. Yeah, I was about to try to take it over, dude. First of all, man, dude, what a bunch of beautiful people here, dude. Sam, I love you. Crypto Billy, I love you. Crypto Poyo, Prometheus, dude. Redman, I see you. I see you there, dude. Kevin, I'd never heard of you before today. I'm glad Sam brought you up, dude. You just got to follow, bro. You got some brains there, and I like it. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Richard Berry, and I have a message. If you want something you've never had, do something you've never done. This is going to tie into how to keep your gains. And essentially, I'm an IT guy. I've worked with the United States Department of Defense as a contractor, as an engineer. I'm also a technical analyst just for fun. And that's where the quote comes from. If you want something you've never had, do something you've never done. And what I mean by this is that Crypto Billy mentioned something that was that touched me, and that you got to lose them. Sometimes you got to lose that $1 million to understand what it's worth. And I've been trading since I was 16, paper trading until I became an adult. So I have 22 years of market exposure. And I put a tweet out about this recently. I've lost my life savings at least 3 times just trading over the course of the 22 years. Now I don't want to make myself sound like I don't know how to trade, because I absolutely do now. There's lessons learned. Can't FOMO on green candles. You buy when there's blood in the streets, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to come across a few points to try to keep it on topic. So the first thing is you have to get educated. You have to educate yourself with economics. If you don't understand supply and demand, or how market cap works, or and you're just trusting the guy who's on the news channel telling you where the direction is going to go, that's the point of these spaces. That's the point of us gathering here today. That's the point of why Sam is trying to educate people and others, is because you can't just rely on one single person or individual to give you the end all be all answer. And that's kind of how I got led to Sam, or even Bill Noble. Bill Noble's taught me a bunch of lessons, and you have to be able to make this decision yourself. I do a lot of drawing on the chart, and this one thing that I want to share. If you've never drawn on the chart before and you're relying on other people to do it, man, just download TradingView for free and start drawing. And what'll happen is you'll notice that as soon as price bounces on your support or resistance lines and follows your trend, it's like this eye awakener. It's mind blowing. It's like, what, it actually did it. And over time you'll get better and better. And you don't just do it with one coin or one asset in the legacy markets. You do it with every single thing you look at. And the more things you chart, the more in tune with the market you become. It almost becomes a gut trade. You'll see something on the news and go, "Oh no, I don't. How could it do that?" And then you'll be right, and you'll notice that more and more. Another lesson to keep your money and not lose it, because Billy mentioned it like he mentioned it wisely earlier, like how not to lose your gains. Essentially, is the same thing as how to keep your gains. A lot of people get conditioned. So at the beginning of a bull market, people are thinking to themselves, is this really true? Is this really happening? And what happens is they start FOMOing at the top. And I was taught that if you can buy a dip and make money, it's a bull run. And that's kind of what's been going on. You know, luckily I sniped the bottom last year in November of 2022, you know, like a savage. But uh, but the same feeling you get on the way up is the exact same feeling you get on the way down. People are conditioned to think that once it's going up, it's going to go up forever. Once it's going down, people think it's going to go down forever. It's going to go to zero, but it's not. But it doesn't. I mean, maybe some projects. I mean, if you're talking about like Terra Luna or something, or FTX, you know, that's a different story. But but you have to be able to break out of that conditioning. Once it hits the top, you have to remind yourself that, hey, you know, it's not going to go forever. So I need, at some point I need to take profits. And that's a very good lesson. Just always remind yourself that if it's going up, you know, at some point the music's going to stop. If it's going down, at some point the music is going to stop in the exact opposite situation or scenario. And so another tip is that, so I've been in trading competitions. Of course, they were paper trading competitions. I've won at least three where a good lesson learned. I remember I lost a couple as well. A very good, you know, if you don't understand the charts, but you made profit and you see a green candle and you're in profit, take that money. Now, it's better to take the money on a profit and it leave you in the dust on the upside than it is to think you're right and it has room to keep going up than to lose money on the downside. Because the whole goal of this is to not be married to anything or any asset or any coin, and to you know, to make sure you make profit and you keep rotating it. And a lot of times people get married to a particular coin and they think, oh well, I believe in it. And you can believe in it if you have a long-term bag, but if you're day trading, you know, I mean, you got to take the money. You have to take some profits. And of course, I have a long-term bag and a short-term bag, and they're different risk to reward ratio strategies that people do, like leaving your original amount that you put in, or leaving your profit that you put in, take out your original amount, or vice versa. So it really depends on your trading strategy, and and essentially that's pretty much the point I wanted to make. And thank you guys for having me. That was exactly almost my 3 minutes.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And with that, we're gonna move to my man Prometheus.
Thank you, Sam. And brother, I just wanted to say, like, you know, how my heart goes out to you for what you've gone through recently. And, you know, like, I also lost someone who was like a father figure to me, just, you know, a couple of years back. And so, you know, it's never easy. And to see you back here with your positivity, sharing the wisdom, sharing the knowledge, really appreciate you for doing that, first and foremost, you know. Yeah, like, it's never easy. So but I you know, really liked what everyone said so far. Richard especially, I completely agree with you. um you know, like with this bull run, guys, like in the last bull run, I forget what the number was exactly, but it was something like only 15% of people actually made money, right? So with this bull run that we're coming up with the Web3 crypto sector, definitely follow Richard and Sam's, you know, like wisdom here. Take profits on the way up. Don't invest more than, you know, you're prepared to lose. Really do your due diligence with a lot of these projects. Just to give you guys a little background about myself, so I'm probably the only guy who's not a millionaire here right now on the speaker panel, but you know, I'm a technology builder primarily. So right now, you know, my team and I were launching you know, something that bridges real estate, Web3, and artificial intelligence all at once. So I will definitely keep you guys posted when we launch that. But we've been working on it for quite some time now, like almost a good few years. And you know, like for me, I'm someone who likes to go all in whenever I do something, anything. I make sure I do it like to the T, like to the full. And that's just how I've always been, you know, throughout my life. And you know, this latest project is just one of, you know, several that I've gone all in on. And I believe that we're coming up to a black swan event also. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but I do believe it's going to be soon. And so I would just be mindful of that, in the sense that I think, just from my limited research of the markets, I do believe that the banking closures we've seen this year, along with the huge, holes in the commercial debt real estate market, which is several trillions. I think it was something like 4.5 trillion. The derivatives market and a few others. I believe that it's all it's going to come back to roost very soon. And so I don't know about you guys, but I would pivot away from the US dollar in the short run, and then come back into it once the carnage is over. So it'll happen much faster than '08, because the technology is much faster now, and you can literally move like hundreds of billions in short hours, which before was not as possible. We definitely saw something along those lines with Silicon Valley Bank. And not to be superstitious or anything, but I do follow prophets, like genuine prophets. There's one guy called Joshua Giles who I highly recommend. He called Silicon Valley Bank's collapse like a month before it happened. And there's scientific evidence I can share with you guys that we do have the ability to sense events before they happen if we are sensitive enough. Of course, there are charlatans, but there are some people who genuinely have that ability. It would explain why it is, we have prophets like Christ and others who predicted the times we're in, aka the last days, and all the interesting data points that are in the Bible that are all lining up now. And so they're predicting that in the short run, there will be a like a black swan kind of event, probably around from January on through to March time period. And then afterwards there will be a recovery. So just to be mindful of that. And there are some things that are going to go down and others that are going to go up. Usually in these sorts of times actually is when most wealth is made. Most millionaires are made, believe it or not in bull runs, but in depressions. And that's simply because when the old contracts, the new, if they're resourceful, can expand instead of contracting. That's Grant Cardone's 10x approach, which I very much resonate with as well. So, I'll be writing something up regarding all of this very shortly and publishing it. And very honored to connect with you gentlemen about, the markets and also just wealth and wisdom in general. I do believe we're living in a time of phenomenal opportunity. The last thing I'll say is that aside from these kind of like short-term things, I think there's a lot of great ideas that simply require just teamwork, vision, and leadership right now. I don't think the real power of these technologies, whether it's crypto or whatever else, has been truly realized. These are things that just hit hitherto, like until a decade ago, used to belong to central banks and nation states. Now it is in the hand of private enterprise. Just think about that for a second. The Rothschild, he said, give me the control of a nation's currency and I care not who its leaders are. That's how these cats used to operate. And now that power is in our hands. So I think we have a huge opportunity here. It's just not been properly utilized. So yeah, just gonna throw that out there, and thanks very much for having me up.
Thank you. And if you're in my trading group, we just hit the Bitcoin trade hard right now. I just had to look at my trade, and we're up really big. I made 2 calls for Bitcoin actually. Simple as simple does. Triangles on the 7-minute. Actually 3 today. 3 flags on the 7-minute. All played out. And but that's another reason how you keep wealth once created. I focus on my craft, right? My craft is that I sell my services in a trading group, meaning that if you join my trading group, I'm going to keep you up to date with the most amount of things humanly possible in crypto, from the newest coins coming out to the research of what's going to be the next trend, to building the portfolio of a trend that I'm showing you how I'm building it. I'm not financial advice at all. I don't tell you what to, with your portfolio, but I show you everything that I do. and I can consistently stay consistent and disciplined, you know, every 2-3 hours I'm tracking Bitcoin, and I'm tracking it from when I last looked at it, and I'm picking up right from where I left off and continuing. And wealth becomes a mentality. Everyone thinks wealth is this money that you make, and it is. You do make a substantial amount of value, and eventually you have more than you had before, and it gives you security for sure, right? Eventually you own more real estate and you have rents coming in. Once you have, let's say 100 grand in rents a month coming in, I mean, you're doing pretty good. Think about it. You're making 100 grand in rents and rent. So no matter what happens, you have cash flow coming into your life that you could then, invest in other places. And the cool thing about having cash flow is, to once you're out of the rat race, you can speculate. Say, Kevin right here in this group, or anyone out here, Richard, Kevin, Crypto Billy, people that I already believe in that have already been successful. Say they went up to me and said, "Hey, a buddy of mine is starting a crypto coin that has something to do with real estate, and I'm putting in this amount. I'm into it. I like it. Now I could throw 10 grand in there, or 20 grand, something that I see is, but if I don't have excess money or excess wealth, then I can't speculate, right? And that's what I learned early on too, is, and I'm not saying speculate all day long, like everything is a Hail Mary, like there's, safe bets, but to me, that's how I got wealthy, or I'm not wealthy yet, but that's how I grew myself out of at least a rat race and became financially free. I can say I'm financially free at 40 years old, as long as I stay disciplined and focused. I should never work for someone again for the rest of my life, you know, and I should only have to work for things that I believe in, and that go after the dreams in which I envision. You know, that's true success. Whether you're worth 50 grand or 5 mil or 50 mil or 500 mil, if you wake up tomorrow and you're going after, your own dreams, like something that you're living in a dream in which you envisioned, like the job you have is something you created out of your own mind, you know, that's that, like, you creatively built your own destiny. I mean, that's, to me, that is that it doesn't get better than that. If you can become successful doing that, you will find the greatest joy. And people think that once you're living that is a dream state, you still wake up tired some days. You still wake up in doubt and fear, even though if you can push it all out of your mind as much as you want, you're still a human being. You know, there's some days you feel vulnerable. You don't feel as strong as you could be, and you fight through it, right? And then there's days you feel amazing and you're on top of the world and like everything goes right, and you love those days. You cherish those days, and you just hope to have more of those days than down days, and then you collect yourself, and then throughout the year you've made it. And you're talking at me. I like to be vulnerable about me because I go live every single day, and that is, stretch me thin in a way that makes me vulnerable. Because like, you're gonna see me every day. Even if I took the weekends off, like those could be the 2 days that I could like be tired, or not sleep that well. And there has been some streams where I say, everyone, hey, listen, I'm tired today, everyone. Like, I'm a human. Like, I'm not gonna be the same. But wealth is a mentality. Going back to like how to stay consistent. And once you find consistency in your life, like, they could take away your bank account, they could take away everything, and you could just recreate yourself somewhere else, right? You know, and start right back off with the consistency. Now, it may take time to get back where you're at, and it is a bit of but you have to build as if a house getting hit by a tornado, but with the right amount of time, and right back where you are, and you'll probably be able to make some leaps too on that process. So it becomes wealth becomes a mentality and an idea. And shout out to Crypto Pollo, man. Thank you for coming here. I see you on the stream. Great to hear your voice. And take it away if you have something to say, my man.
Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah,
How's it
here's what I'm gonna tell you, Sam. First and foremost, don't think the work that you put in is not noticed, because it definitely is. And there's something to be said about that. Through everything that you've been through, you've been consistent. You have a, if anything I could say is you have a lot of people that respect you for that. Because to go through that and keep going and pushing what you've been doing, it doesn't go unnoticed. I just that. Um, you know, Wealth is a funny thing for me. The way I was raised, my family, we're mountain people. You know, So wealth to my family is a lot different. It's more about, just having a good time and, living. It's not about money. Now, it's different, right? I don't know why. I'm just like the black sheep, if you want, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, the person who brought me into understanding wealth, finance, and all that stuff, it's a long story, but just when he brought me into crypto, he he gave me the perfect formula. And of course I didn't listen to it. And you know what he told me? His biggest disappointment with me was this, that he did the exact same thing that I did. And he didn't want me to do it. And by the way, he even told me that. He gave me the perfect formula. He's like, Bitcoin works on 4-year cycles. Just buy from here to there. When this month comes, you sell, save your cash, let it go. And then he's like, if you want, you could put like a 5x short position with like a big stack of cash. And then I mean, he literally gave me one of the best formulas for building an immaculate millionaire crypto portfolio. And of course I didn't listen, right? And what he told me is when all this was going on, and I'm not gonna lie, I did give some excuses, but I mean, he told me, he's like, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna tell you. I have nothing, a millionaire, nothing. He's like living in my Jaguar, like living, not having a place to stay, building up a million again, losing it again, and he's like, no, the third time it's not gonna happen again. But he told me these things happen, so you need to build on that and just fine. You went through it. Now what? Grow that. So like what Billy said, it's funny, Billy, because I'm gonna tell you a funny story about. I had a neighbor that had 3 Porsches in his backyard, and I had an IROC Camaro got stolen, and he felt bad. He's like, "Hey, listen, man, I got this Porsche here. Give me $3,500 for it, and you can take it." He's like, "The engine turns over, you got to fix it up, whatever." It was a 1981 Porsche 930 whale tail. Whatever. I put like I gave him $3,500. I put like another $1,500 into it just to get it decent. One day I'm in the gas station pumping gas. Some guy walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, my daughter loves that car. I'll give you 10 grand for it." At the time, I had, I was like, "Holy shit, that was a lot of money." So I took the 10 grand. Then, I think like a year and a half later, I come to find out that the car was worth like 50 grand, but it doesn't matter. But those are the things that you learn as you go through your journeys. And the one thing that I can tell you, I'm a dad, and whoever here is a parent, or even if you have nephews, nieces, it doesn't matter, brothers and sisters, you know, if you're lucky enough to find wealth, learn it, respect it, like get yourself to a level to say, okay, I made it here, because you're right. A lot of people will get that money, and I call it being a pig, because you're greedy. So, and pigs get slaughtered. Like, it's that simple. So either you make a gain, take some off the table. I mean, what are you doing it for, right? If you're doing it to make money, you made the money, take it. And like I said, I'm being kind of a hypocrite right now, because I don't know if anybody here has done that, but I have done it, where I have 10x on a coin or a stock or whatever, and not sold, and let that thing dwindle down to under my buy-in. I don't know why. Now I know better, right? So, I try to teach my son and other people that I meet, say, hey, listen, you want to understand finance. And the crazy part is finance is one of the least taught life skills to the younger generation. And I want you guys to think about that, because if you were lucky enough for your parents to teach you saving, diversification, like all the pillars that you need to be financially successful, you're a very lucky person. Because I can tell you, I don't know many people that have been that fortunate for to have parents that can teach them that. So, you know, if you're work hard enough, because I don't want to say lucky. I do not like to say, oh, you're lucky because you no. If you worked hard enough to achieve wealth, work hard enough to keep that and pass that on to your siblings, to your family, to your kids. So you can keep that going because that is something that is very I don't want to say it's hard to learn. What I want to say is it's not taught, you know? And like I said, Sam or Billy or Richard, maybe you guys have taught that to your kids. Like I'll tell you, my 13-year-old, and he still doesn't get it yet. But like, and people are like, "Oh, why do you force him?" Like, at the end of the day, even if it's for me, he needs to understand. Like, my son can tell you what an RSI is. He can tell you you can show him candle patterns, and he can tell you swing failures. He doesn't get it yet, but I just want him to understand what the value and what it takes to get wealthy, to make what it like to respect that. Because one thing that I have seen is people kind of have lost touch with it. And I will tell you as simple as, when the bull run comes, someone, they know you're in crypto. They're like, hey man, what should I buy? And I never tell anybody buy this, but I'm like, hey, you know what? Why don't you do the research on this? What are you into? And they're like, no, just tell me what to buy. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Did I do it before? Yes. Now I won't. If you're not willing to, which is crazy for me, but if you're not willing to understand something that you're putting your capital in, I don't want to be involved in that. Like I don't care how renowned you are. You could be the best financial person in the world. I think, and like I said, Sam, you guide people. You always say, "Yeah, we're gonna teach you," and you always say, which that's where you got me, man. Time is your most valuable asset. And if you're gonna do it, like, why not learn? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not take it to that level? So, building that with a community and all that stuff, it's very it hits home for me, but it also, us as a community, we need to make sure that we keep on pushing that to people to question, to learn how to build that and maintain it. Not to be ungrateful for it. So that's kind of where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, thank you. People make money so fast. Like for me, my whole life I worked. I'd been working a night shift, and then I just moved into working during the days when the last bull run happened, and I was fresh out of always giving my time for money, and I finally I've been trading the stock market for those years, and I got those wins, um, on the gold and silver trades, but like nothing like the speed of crypto, right? Like the fastness of crypto. And I remember I got into Sia coin under a penny, and it went to like 8 cents. And I remember bloating it. I put like 8 or 9 grand in under a penny, and so I made. It went up. At one point, I was up. When I finally sold, I was up. I think I was up 60 grand. When I finally sold, I was up like 40,000. And I remember being in my kitchen in my one-bedroom apartment, and when I sold, and I remember walking into work the next day, and I was like one of the least paid people, and I was an assistant to the higher paid, and just in my mind, I was like, it's highly unlikely everyone here made 40 grand last night in their kitchen, you know. And I said, maybe no one knows, but like I'm on my way to something different than everyone in this and that I work with, you know. And I didn't get uppity about it, and I didn't I just got kind of like a tingling inside. And it was like this little story that I knew I was on this little path and no one knew, but I did, and another when, like something like that would happen again. And now, not to brag, but like I've made 30 grand in a day, trading 20 grand in a day. I've made 5 grand in like under an hour. Like I've done so many bucket list trading things. I'm sure there's other I've seen traders do things I haven't done. I haven't done it all. I don't make multi-million-dollar leverage trades like, crypto face, yet. But, I have done some amazing things financially with money to the point where what happens is you don't want to get pompous about it, but you lose once you've hit a 5 grand win, a few, 20, 30 times, maybe 50 times in your life or over that, you know, it doesn't get you as excited anymore to make money, uh, now for me, it's like, can I turn a million into 10? Can I turn 10 into 100? And then can I build? Like, can I build with that? And can I build a business, another bigger, can I build $1 billion cash flow business? I just want to see, someone said to me, yeah, I think it was the other day. I think it was yesterday when my mom, I was talking to my cousin. We had a celebration for my mom's life. And my cousin said, if you don't dream for the next thing, then what's the point? You know, you want to have a nice house, let's just say, you want to have, you go for a certain goal, you get there. And then, I mean, you got to have a bigger goal that's a bit more ridiculous than the last one, right? Like if your goal, right? My goal is 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm halfway there at 50K, right? It looks like I'll get there as long as I keep maintaining what I'm doing, and I'll find even better ways. We should be able, my team and me are getting smarter with the algorithm. Like you gain knowledge, you gain an edge, and so now you're like, well, I'll get to 1 million then. Like why, and the goal has to be, I don't like using the word scared, but I found for me personally, all my goals have to be so big that they challenge the person who I am right now. Like the person who I am right now, it's like it's very similar to climbing a mountain. Like I made it up to a peak, but then there happens to be just another mountain around the corner, and I look up and I'm like, that looks like I can't get up there, but I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna begin to climb, right? So, can I make it to 1 million subscribers? I mean, in my mind, I'm like, that's a bit crazy, but at the same time, my mind says, yeah, but 50,000 subscribers was like 1 million to you when you didn't have any. It was just it was as crazy, if not crazier. And I said, if you could get to 50K, then you can get to 1 million, right? And this goes back to how to maintain wealth, because it's about, once you position yourself somewhere, you should have a bigger goal, and another goal. And kind of even what like Crypto Billy said, like say I start a franchise and 5 of them are doing well, and one of them I can open up and I can make sure it breaks even, take all the profits and donate them to like a local boys and girls club, make sure that like it gives jobs to maybe 10 or 12 people in the local neighborhood. And then like that business itself could just be a self-generating business that all it does is help the community. You know what I mean? Like I maintain it, and its profits go back into like a boys and girls club for kids, to help the kids in the neighborhood. And it basically creates good jobs. I make sure there's a good manager. I make sure there's a great working environment there for anyone that works there. Maybe there's a space there that we donate and people can use it. For the, basically, and boom, next thing you know, and then you're like, well, if I can do that with that, what can I do if I grow my wealth even more? Maybe I can open up an entire boys and girls club and donate the entire. I can build it, or I can, there's always a place you can make. If you look around, there's so many places you can make the world better. It's amazing, you know. And when you have resources, you can do that. You know, when you're working, I remember when I was working so much and taking double shifts, and you know, I wasn't spending my time on a spaces with other millionaires and people, you know, wanting to aspire to gain wealth, about how we could gain, you know, how to obtain wealth. Like I was sitting there bugging out, like thinking of like, you know, a lot more remedial, smaller ideas. Like I wasn't thinking big enough, and I would, you know. But now that I have time tonight, right? Tomorrow, you know, I'm gonna go through the charts. Like I'm in a trade right now; it's going well. But I'm gonna be going through the charts and doing my thing, and you know, we're gonna have our you know, wow, the trade's up. I'm gonna take the trade now. But we made a nice $400 like in about an hour. I made 400 in about an hour, you know. And I gave the trade to my trading group. See, like I have the ability to do that, to make $400 in an hour on my phone, like while I'm on a spaces. And that's why I gave the trade to my trading group. Cause like I know if I see something, there's a high probability it's gonna play out, because this is all I do for a living. This is all I do, like day in and day out. It's insanity. Anyway, um, and that goes to the, like, you know, it seems off topic in a way, you know, like trading futures while I'm on a spaces, but the idea is to maintain consistency, you know.
Sam,
Yeah.
let me jump in here. You know, you said something a few minutes ago. I just hope everybody picked up on, because it's just almost like a subliminal message, although you did verbalize it. You, when you talked about face, crypto face, you said, I trade these bigger amounts, but I'm not trading 1 million, 2 million like crypto face yet. Yet. And I hope everyone picked up on that, because to to win, to get there, you have to have that belief in your mind. You already are visualizing that. It's already happening in your mind. You see it. You see yourself trading $1 million at a time, and you're calling that into fruition, man. You're manifesting. It's going to happen, right? And that is part of achieving. That is part of being a leader. That is part of being a visionary. That is part of getting and reaching your destiny. And there's so many people that just do not have that ability to do that. And so to teach them like you are here on this space, man, it's just awesome. It's the whole giver's game mentality, right? It's like teaching them these things. And I just wanted to put a spotlight on that, because I heard it loud and clear, man. And I was like, yeah, that is perfect. So I just wanted to just say that to everybody.
Billy, thank you so much, man. It's crazy. I know this is gonna make me feel kind of vulnerable, but also like losing my mom and dad makes me looking for almost like, you know, like a father figure in my life, for people that have been through a little more than that I can bounce an idea off of. You know, I didn't always listen to everything my dad said, and sometimes even his ideas were a little, you know, like he didn't always understand. You know, but through his older wisdom, there was something I could always channel, even if he didn't always say the right thing. A month or two later, I would remember what he said to me, and I would be like, you know what? I actually can figure out like it actually still came into play later on, because something about it made sense, or the person that I interacted with, he was, you know, it came into play later on. So I just appreciate everyone that comes to the space that cares about the journey I'm on and the journey that the lifers are taking. And you know, I'm just super happy, man. I love when I put out a trade and we hit for gains. And it's a simple flag. You can put your stop loss below the flag, because everyone thinks it can't be that easy, right? And that's so they don't trade this. See, this is what happens when I began trading patterns, and my indicators help, and I knew other things about the market for today, and I could see the bounce. And it's also Monday night. I love trading Monday night. You know, I specifically like trading Monday afternoon. I don't trade until Monday after 5, and I say this all the time. Uh, but the idea is, you know, you think it's so simple, so you don't do it. Yet if you just did the simple things over and over again, you would have a pretty good win rate, you know. And then when you finally take the simple trade, you'll get stopped out once, and then someone will tell you patterns don't work. They were easily getting you, and you'll believe that person, and you do it again. But if you did it on your own, Like if you did everything on your own and you documented your own journey, you'd find gains on your own, like in your own way. But there's a man here, DeFione Labs. Welcome, welcome. Jump on in, man. And yeah, the topic is how to keep wealth once created, and it could also even be like health through wealth, but like mentality too, because I believe you can make a bunch of money, and then your mind could get crazy, and you could start doing spending money on things that take you out of your zone, and then you can lose money again too. So, but all aspects of wealth, really, in my mind.
Hey, I want to say something. This is my first time in this, so I want to thank you for having me as a speaker. Going back to what Crypto Polo was saying about making a lot of mistakes and riding cryptos to zero, I'm sure we've all done that. That's part of the game. But you can use these as paid lessons, and use it as a compass to guide you from the pitfalls in the past. So, I don't really look at it as a loss. I look at it like I said, a paid lesson. Like I'm sure if you've been in crypto since 2020, you've heard of Olympus DAO. This was like something. It was that 3-3 meme. Everyone was falling apart or falling. And I had this group chat with a bunch of kids, and we're all making thousands of dollars on it. But one thing is we sabotaged our gains because we were comparing each other's portfolios to each other. Some got in before others, some made more than others. And we had this calculator that estimated your interest on your own position. So like no one wanted to sell. And it's crazy because like all of us ended up losing all our money on it. And another mistake I made was I was only in that token. I didn't have any Ethereum. I didn't have any Bitcoin. I was just all in on this altcoin. So the biggest takeaway I got from that is just like everyone's on their own journey, their own path. You don't have to do it alone. Although we did have a group chat and we all sabotaged each other. It's nice to have someone that can guide you, like Sam Price, or someone where you can get in a Discord or Telegram group where the people can help you cut your learning curve, because you don't have to do it alone. You want people there to guide you and give you that. Another thing is, instead of like, I'm all about like less is more. But when I say less is more, I don't mean go all in on an altcoin like Olympus DAO. When I build or craft my portfolio, I kind of look at it like a sports team, because I played hockey. I know what the coach's mentality is. I was a defenseman, and we'd go in the locker room and we'd all like lose a game, and then the coach would be like, we had no defense today, or we had, our goalie sucked, like just like that. And like that's not what wins games. That's not what gets you to that next level. So my philosophy is like kind of like build your own sports team. Like if you're looking down and you're auditing your portfolio, a lot of people go way aggressive, like especially if their portfolio is small. They think because of the unit bias, they don't want to buy Ethereum at 20. What is it at right now? I know the market's kind of actually moving up right now, but or Bitcoin at 43.5. So they go for the coins that are priced at 0.000, or like the meme coins, and they get wrecked, which I'm not saying you can't do that. And I'm not saying you can't make money in that. You can definitely do that. But at the same time, you have to have the defense. You need to have a conservative approach, which are your core holdings. And these are the foundation of your portfolio. And these could be like a Bitcoin, the Ethereum, and Solana's looking really good right now. So, that could be more maybe a moderate play, but it's kind of like a barbell strategy. I'm sure we've all heard of it, but I like to like use the analogy of like a sports team. So I don't want to be like too defensive. Like I don't want to be in just Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I don't want to also be like too overly aggressive. So I kind of find that golden mean. And you can like, that's why I'm saying like you don't have to do this alone. Like get with people like Sam Price or like other people, like read threads, like start to educate yourself, because you're probably not going to figure this out. And if you do figure this out on your own, it will probably take a lot of mistakes and mess ups, which is fine as long as you're learning from them. But another thing is, your portfolio is always going to be changing. Like just because you're playing conservative now and 50% of your holdings are Bitcoin and ETH, it's probably a bear market. But when things really start to fly, like you're going to have to know like when to like switch things around and start to rotate things into narratives that you think that you have conviction in. Because one of the biggest mistakes people make is they play it too safe. And like I said, they play it too aggressive. So that's like some value I thought I can bring to this space is just have that long-term vision and just, you know, have that systematic plan. Everyone's on their own journey, their own system. So don't compare your portfolio. I just actually made a video about this. I don't want to talk too much because I just want to be respectful, keep it under 5 minutes. You know, once you do start to like make money in crypto, you're going to want to keep following the prices. So just like stay off Twitter, like even for a day, get off CoinGecko, just like touch some grass and go like talk to family, because we're greedy. Like that's our natural instincts. You have to train yourself not to be greedy and just know how to walk away. And just, you made your 500%, you hit your profit targets. I know the price went up more, but it doesn't hurt as bad letting the prices rise after you take profits than holding and round tripping your bags to zero. So like I always preach this. Shout out to Don Rinaldi. He's my partner, and Troy Poley. I had my hand up for a little bit, but I just left. Yep. Yeah, Richard. Oh, and sorry, I lost my train of thought because I was giving out shout outs. I should have just kept going. But another thing he was talking about ATMs and stuff, because I have a few Bitcoin ATMs, and I wanted to ask that question, where you guys think that's going. But I'll let you guys talk. Again, thank you for letting me up here. This is my first time in this space, so thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. Almost sound like you have like a Massachusetts accent. I don't know where you're from, but like I was getting some New England vibes. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. I see Richard raising his hand, but I definitely want to also get to Kevin below there. But Richard, what do you want to say?
Yeah, dude. So just a couple of things, a comment, and then hopefully uh, some advice that might encourage people. So first of all, like, dude, everybody in the space needs to make sure they spend every single bit of time with their family. I understand Sam went through the situation that he did with this year. I got a call this morning that my father was in the hospital. Now I travel from Augusta, Georgia to Dothan, Alabama every week, and I got a call this morning that his blood sugar was over 1,000, and that he should have been in a coma and was at risk of a heart attack and a stroke. And so, that's just here. I'm maybe 1 or 2 years younger than Sam, and every chance you get, you really do need to because it's bigger than money. It's greater than just keeping the wealth that you once created, um, which is completely different. I don't mean to take it all off subject, but give the love that you absolutely can to everybody you're close with, even if you don't have family, your friends, anybody who deserves it. You absolutely need to. And the other thing is that Crypto Polio, you mentioned something earlier that I've been thinking of deeply, like for many years. And you mentioned something in that you'll make some gains, and to tie this in with the crypto topic of today and how to keep your wealth once created, is that you stated that you didn't know why after you made these gains. You saw it dip low, and then you would just lose. So I just want to give you some words of encouragement that first of all, you have to recognize what I was talking about earlier about being conditioned, because that's exactly what happened to you. It's happened to all of us. When you see something go up, you think it's going to go up forever, and oh, maybe it will make a retracement, and maybe that's not the end. And the same exact thing happens in the opposite direction, in that people think it's going to go down forever, but then it eventually goes up. If you can identify that one thing and break the chains of it, and I'll give you an example. Uh, so I didn't, when I was on Coinbase, there was only three coins listed. There's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. I didn't really believe in Ethereum. Honestly, I didn't research it and I didn't understand it in 2017. But the previous bull cycle, when it occurred, I thought to myself, you know what? Even if I don't know everything, maybe I'll treat crypto as my garden. I'll plant a little bit of seeds here. I'll put a little bit of seeds there, and see how it grows. Ethereum was one of my lowest positions in my entire crypto portfolio, but it made so much gains that it ended up taking over 60% of my total portfolio. I couldn't believe it. It blew my mind. So so when you see that and you start to see, you have to recognize that yeah, at some point the song, the dance is going to be over, and you have to tell yourself, okay, how did I feel at the beginning of this? Was I nervous? Would I put money in? Okay, it went up, but you have to think about the same thing in the opposite direction. And to give you some hope, I felt the same thing. I was nervous at around 4,400, 4,500 in Ethereum. It took me a little time to sell out my entire bag, but luckily, I felt this. I literally felt this, that hey, well, what if it goes up more? Because you have to remember, there's going to be news out there that people are going to be talking about, like the super cycle, which kind of really messed people up last time. They were talking about a super cycle when it wasn't going to happen. And, luckily I was able to just pull the trigger, and I felt guilty about it. I felt like, oh no, I shouldn't do it, but I did it anyway at around, I can't remember. It was in around the 3,000 range, and I bought and I got Ethereum at around $300, and so it was around the 3,000 range. I want to say maybe approximately 3,300 that I pulled the trigger and got out, and then sniped back at it at 850 and 1050 and 1150. So so you have to remind yourself that okay, I was conditioned on the way up, and there's this guy named Maslow when I took psychology. Maslow had this study where every time they would do a can opener to a dog can to feed the dog, they noticed after the first time the dog didn't know what was going on, but then the second time he heard that sound, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to get fed." And they would measure the salivation, the amount of spit that would come out of his mouth, and it would increase because the dog understood that he was going to get fed at the time. And that's exactly what the market does to us. So I just want to give you a little bit of words of encouragement to make sure you're very conscious of that. And yeah, that's it. So love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought it was Pavlov's dog. Maybe I might have heard you wrong, but like,
Yeah, Pavlov. Yeah. I think I said it right. I said Maslov. I don't know why I said that. I'm
no
thinking
worries.
of
I just wanted to make
Maslow's
sure people
law.
could like recreate that idea to someone else. But yeah, no, what I'm doing, and you know what I think is a great life example. Again, I'm not giving financial advice, but a life example for me is I know I want my money to create more money. I know that, you know, and I know I can 50x and 100x, and I know, but it has to be done at the right time, and you can't do it all the time. Meaning, right now I've loaded up bags, and I'll load up some other bags, and I'm gonna wait my 12 to 18 months, and I'm gonna sell, and then there's gonna be maybe there's a chance in another 4 years and another cycle. Everyone's saying this will be the last cycle. They say that every time. This will be the last cycle. But like I said at the beginning of this live event in the spaces, that's crazy to think that someone who's 12 years old right now in 7 years isn't going to have an opportunity. There's always going to be something to invest in. There's always going to be a new emerging technology, and there's always something you can put your money in today that 5 years from now is going to be worth more. You know, the idea is to be forward thinking. How I battle the FOMO and the riding it up and down, and how maintaining wealth really is I have a plan for the money before I get into it. And literally, like, I get into a coin. Let's say like right now I have AGIX, and I put in, let's say, 30,000, and I plan on at least 10xing my money on the AGIX. 20x is like what I conservatively believe we'll be able to do. So that's 600,000, and so I plan on buying 2 condos in Sarasota. I know the area that I want to buy them in. I know the type of real estate that I want. I even know the type of renter that I'm thinking of, like the type of person that rents in that area, you know. And I want to put 300 grand down, or maybe 250,000 down. I'll pay some taxes, maybe 200 grand down, and I even write that down, like, the taxes will go here. And 2 $500,000 apartments, maybe two. I'll get the money exactly right. But the point is, so when I'm up and I see that portfolio above the level that I plan on being at, I'm gonna take at least 80%, maybe even the whole port. And if the market keeps going, I can always swing trade, and that's the beautiful about being a trader. See, once I sell my long term position and I cap that gain, and it looks like it might go up again, just like I looked at Bitcoin today and my probability was high, I can throw 50 grand in there. And if it does another 1x or 2x, I can make another 100 grand. You know, everyone's always stuck in the have to like, but like take the profits when you're there. Like, now I am all about a good long-term gain. Like, I love holding something over a year and paying low capital gains on that. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, but there have been times when I've held, I've also got the taxes in my head so long, and I put in 10 grand into a position that was 100 grand and said, I don't want to sell till capital gains. And, you know, it was like 2 months till capital gains would have been a year. I had held it 10 months, and next thing you know, 80 grand. And I ended up getting out with like 45,000. And, you know, and then had I just paid the taxes, I still would have paid probably like the 30 grand in taxes and still been up 70 grand. I would have made even 20. So everyone stresses the first thing when I meet a new trader, first thing they mention out of their mouth, usually within the first month or 2 months, but like, I don't want to take it. What about all the taxes I'm going to pay if I'm taking profits all the time? And I'm just like, I remember saying that to my accountant one time, and he was like, "How about you make some money first, and like we'll talk about how to, like, we'll figure out, like, like." It's just funny, But I find that, yeah. So I have a plan for my money. Right, literally, I write the position down in a journal. Where's the profits going? One could be a leisure profit, speedboat with 2 engines, that I've always wanted. Cadillac Escalade, I've always wanted one. This is gonna be, this is what, new kitchen for the wife. The wife wants a new kitchen. I'm gonna put 10 grand, turn it into 100, pay 30 grand in taxes. I'm gonna be left with 70,000, 60 grand in profit, and I'm gonna put 40, 50 grand into a new kitchen for my wife. You know what I mean? Still have the 10 grand to invest in another market. Still be liquid, right? Not lose my money, and give my wife what she wants. Like, so if you have a plan for the position, you'll be more apt to take the money regardless. So like, you're going to be more attached to your idea and your life than the market. And again, like, I am, I'm showing myself a little bit as a trading group and someone that can teach you how to swing trade. But if you learn how to swing trade and you learn how the ebbs and flows of the market, then you have a high probability, and you don't always have to be in something forever. And you'll be better at tax loss harvesting, and you'll be better at, you'll be okay. You'll be like, oh, I'll sell this for a loss this week, but I'll get back in, and then I'll take that gain and I'll flip this here. And you'll be more poised you'll be more financially poised. I like what Richard said. He was saying, and Proyo said, he said, my son knows the RSI. Like, I want him to understand, like, where wealth comes, like, understand, like, every really wealthy person knows how to look at a graph. Like, every billionaire or hedge fund manager or guy, Larry Fink. Like, I'm not saying they're probably analysts, they sit there all day long, but they know how to they know what oversold and overbought is. They can understand when a market is devalued and overvalued. And, that's really what the charts teach you, is how to understand when something's overvalued and undervalued. That it's just a visualization of that in time, right? And I just wanted to bring Kevin in, and then I'll bring it back to Crypto Pollo. Kevin Willett. Thank you for jumping on in, Kevin. If you're there. Do we
Gotta
get
hit the
bugged?
unmic. No, he needs to hit the unmic button on his mic is off.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Kevin. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what you just said about having a plan and so on. I was one of the 85%, I guess, that didn't make money in the last bull market, and that mainly from the emotions, I guess, of holding too long and it's going to go higher, it's going to go higher. And this time I've got a Post-it note on my computer set up, and it's got a date on it. And my wife knows that date, and by all means, I'm 90% out on that date. No matter where the market is, that's the date. I'm going to stick by that date, and like you say, I'll keep the other 10% in there, and I can swing trade if it does go a bit higher, or so on. And then eventually I'll roll it over into real estate at some stage. But I'm a big believer in the 18.5-year real estate cycle, and that's starting to line up with about 2026, and a lot of people don't believe in it, and they might be surprised that real estate prices in 26, 27, it may come down a hell of a lot. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. And Crypto Boyle, you had your hand up, man. I don't want to keep you waiting there.
No, I just wanted to reiterate on a couple of things. Like what Richard said. That's that journey. You got to earn that. And Sam, I've been watching you for a lot. I didn't say much when I first started watching, but you told the story one time of kind of like when to cut your losses, and this is probably like 2 years ago. So I don't know if you remember that. And I can't remember what it was that you bought, but you were explaining how you just kept on trying to buy yourself down, buy yourself down. So the loss wasn't that bad, and then you said I got to a point where I'm like, well, I'm going to let this thing go, and it was a big learning lesson for me, because I'll tell you, I did the same thing, but then I got it. Like there has to be a point where you let go, you know, and that's the whole part about the wealth thing. Like, wealth for me is not about money, or I'm from Miami, a baller or whatever. No, wealth is about sustainable happiness. Because look, at the end of the day, uh, let's say you want to make 1 million. There's probably somebody that's just as happy making 50,000. So creating that world for whatever your journey is, it's not about the money. It's about the journey and the happiness. But you have to create a barrier for yourself, like not a barrier, a rule set. It's kind of like on the TA world, Sam. Hey, you have to put a stop loss in, a stop loss, and God knows we all hate getting stopped out, right? But after a certain amount of time, if you get stopped out, it doesn't, like, on to the next one. But I can tell you, there was a point where that would get stopped out, and you start to, like, you take it personal and stuff like that, and then you start doing things that you wouldn't. And what does that equal? Not a win, that's for sure. So that's kind of what I just wanted to reiterate, man. And Richard, yeah, man, I can tell you that was the most humbling experience, and I wouldn't trade. I mean, yeah, yeah, it sucks that it happened, and I'll tell you, I came very close to quitting, because not only did that happen, but I had one Bitcoin, and you know where I had it? In Celsius. So, like, literally, my heart was broken, but the community and the people here that know me is what got me through it. And I know that the wealth that I'm looking for, it's coming. And every day that I wake up, I'm blessed, because I feel it, I know it, I see it. And I'll be honest, I don't even care like the how I'm gonna get there. That's minuscule for me, because when I wake up, I realize it, I'm grateful for it, and it's just been happening fluidly. And I'm very fortunate that I hear people's stories, and I pick up and I learn things from them. And those are the type of things that they drive me. They keep you going. So uh, you want wealth, make sure you know exactly what you define as wealth, because it may not be being a millionaire. You tell people wealth, and the first thing that they think is money. But would you rather be a miserable billionaire or a happy millionaire? Like, I'd rather be a happy. To be honest with you, I don't even care about being a millionaire. Happy every day is good enough for me. I
Thank
don't
you
know
so
if
much.
everybody agrees with me, but
Yeah.
you know, and things have just come to me, man. I can't complain. I'm so grateful.
No, I want to reiterate on that idea. It's the gratitude. Like when I used to live in gratitude and like say, oh, I'm thankful for this. Or like I'd be somewhere with friends and be like, oh, I'm so grateful for this moment. But like I would maybe that night stub my toe and be like, oh, that hurt. Like, oh man, why is that there? Like things, why does this stuff always happen to me? Like stuff like weird stuff like that. And now, like truly, I go to bed and the last thing out of my mouth, like I get on my hands and knees and I pray and I say thank you to God for my day and for all the amazing things that happened that day, good or bad. As long as I learned a lesson and I gained some knowledge from that day, it was a great day. And when I wake up, the first thing is gratitude, and I bookend my whole day with gratitude. And I'm in a state of gratitude a lot. And it was awesome because when my mom died, my oldest sister brought me aside one day in the hospital room, even while we were still waiting for her to fully pass away. She was breathing, but her brain was gone. And she said, all my friends and people that are meeting me and coming around say like, wow, they really notice what an awesome person you are and like how well you're handling everything. And um, you know, I almost feel like my mom died so I could show the world like how to handle it. It's really weird. I know it's weird, but like I can't figure out any other great like that's like the gratitude I find. I'm like, I'm grateful my mom passed while I was on a public sphere, like while everyone could watch me and while I was doing my streak and in the middle of like all this streak thing, like so people could see someone that was not going to give up. And honestly, the coolest thing about that is because I'm gonna just mute their mic if you still have it on. I just hear the background, but if the coolest thing about it was I want to honor my mom. When someone passes away, you want to honor them, like, and you do have to grieve. There's some time there, but like you don't want to spend too much time crying, and you don't want to make them feel horrible, right? It's like if they were watching you, you'd want them to know that you were up and grinding every day. And the fact that I didn't lose my streak, my live stream streak, and I kept, my trading group, and I just hit 2 gains today for Bitcoin. We just hit a gain right now. Like, even during the spaces, I'm on spaces and we're hitting gains. Like, I mean, you don't find that. Isn't a testament how amazing my mother was. She built a son that awesome. Like she built my dad too. Like my mom, and my dad, like they built an amazing human being. Like I know I'm talking about myself. It seems a little egotistical there, but I'm on display and I'm going through one of the hardest things that anyone will ever go through, and that's losing both your parents in the same year unexpectedly. Like they weren't both in a hospital. They didn't have cancer. My dad, his health was withering, but like we figured he could have lasted 4 more years, 5 years. Who knew, You don't know. But both of my parents died unexpectedly. My mom extremely unexpectedly. And it would have been so easy for me to go back to maybe drinking. Like I haven't had a sip of alcohol. My whole family was drinking. It would have been so easy for me to just, how many people asked me if I wanted to drink last night at the thing, because some people haven't seen me in years. They don't know that I'm sober. And I could have just been like, yeah, let's just get a shot at the bar real quick. No one needs to know. And I didn't go back to my old ways and I didn't get into my habits. And, I didn't go start popping pills and taking Vicodins or Xanax to get away from the pain and then missing my live streams and then falling off and then like you know what I mean, because that can happen. I mean, that stuff really happens to people, like in all honesty, that really happens to people, no lie. Like, and and it can happen to anybody. Like it can happen to great people. You don't have to be just a little bit of weakness in a moment where the devil can speak to you and there's a little crack in your armor and you don't have the right people around you and you can slip, man. Anyone thinks they can slip is usually the person that will slip. You know what I mean? uh That's why I cherish Crypto Billy. I cherish people that like one night I have a really hard night. I can message Crypto Billy and just say, tonight I'm like really missing my mom. Like I can't stop thinking about her and the pain. And he'll respond with a Bible verse or with, any sometimes you don't know what to say, but he'll just say at least something. And knowing that there's someone on the other end, someone that listens, someone that has been through my pain and can understand and is going through the crypto journey too and like sees everything else that's happening. So the community that we've created has helped me. So I can only imagine how it's helped other people. And I imagine I remember when I used to have a hard time being positive when both my parents were alive, and I didn't have any of these horrible things in my life go on, and I was still, kind of a crybaby and a bit of a whiner. And now I hope if anyone's watching me and they're like, man, I used to whine about, I whined about my sandwich not being made right yesterday. This guy's on a live stream and his mom died on Thanksgiving, and he's still out there saying, hey, God bless you guys. Let's have a great day. It's if this guy's mom can die on Thanksgiving and he can still say, let's have a great day and be positive and still believes in God and hasn't turned his faith in God has gotten stronger, he hasn't denounced God just because, how could you kill my mom on Thanksgiving? No, no, no. Thank God you took my mom when she was with us all. So I never had to feel the feeling of knowing what happened to her in her last moments and she was alone. Imagine my mom alone on some path somewhere, and in the cold weather. And she got found by another person an hour or two later, reaching for her phone, paralyzed, and she died in the middle of, or her body was still breathing, but she was brain dead in the middle of the woods. And we could have thought if I could have found her, she could have lived. And oh my God, you know. And I will be honest, there's some I'm going through some PTSD, no lie. Like I watched my mom tell me she had a headache, and next thing you know, I was in an ambulance with her. And I was calm, and like it was supposed to be the nicest day ever. Like I had all my guards down. Like we were all excited. Everyone was and my mom was the funnest person to be around. Everyone was so happy. It was like literally cloud nine. Like everyone was on cloud nine. Like it was like, that sound when the DJ stops, like, "Rrr," like my brother-in-law's like, I think you need to call an ambulance. And like I know he wouldn't say that as a joke, but for a split second, your mind thinks it's a joke, right? You don't even say it out loud, but for a moment, your mind just goes like, nah, that's not reality. And then you run out to your mom, and next thing you know, you realize you have to go into action. Like, you and someone and your sister has to make sure that you're gonna call an ambulance, and like this is reality, And there are some times where I catch myself staring at a wall, and I hear my mom say, like, "Am I gonna be okay?" And I hold her hand, and I tell her, like, "Yeah, you're gonna be fine, Ma. Like, you're just gonna have to come live with me now." And she's like, "But I was doing so good on my own," and I was like, "I know you were. I know you were doing great." And I replay that moment, and it buries me. And how I get through those days is I don't go to that moment. I really don't. It's almost like a car driving by. Like I see the moment, but I don't roll down the window, and I don't zoom in. Like right there, I just zoomed in and I let it hit me. And when I zoom in, it hurts. But there's days I gotta get the business done. I gotta get my live stream, and I don't zoom in. I don't go into that. I don't go into that place. But it's sad because I was a guy that I didn't have any of those places. I didn't go to war. I had two of my friends die growing up when I was young, and it's been a long time. But I haven't had anything traumatic like that happen to me in my life with someone that I love that much, and to have them abruptly leave my life. And how we keep wealth, how we hold wealth even once created is we can't crumble. And because everyone here, you might in the next bull run. No, I hope not. I don't. But like everyone here is gonna lose people they love at one point in their life. You know, I hate to say it, like especially if we're healthy, and we get to live longer than most. Then we're gonna see most of our friends and people we know, brothers and sisters. You know, and if we're lucky, which is crazy, we're gonna see most people pass, and they won't see us pass. You know, and we may be at the height. You may be in the middle of a real estate business you've been working on for 11 months, and like if you just go into a depressive hole and stop showing up to meetings, like you could lose the deal. You know, and so what I love about what I'm doing right now is I'm showing you who my mom was and my dad by not being that person. That's that by everyone's like, oh, we're so proud of you for showing up. And honestly, I feel like I don't have a choice. Like I'm a YouTuber. That's the life that I chose. Everyone looks at it on one side, like they see that you're the winner on the other side. Like they see YouTube as you're the winner, right? You get the super chats, you got the trading group, you're the man. You know what I mean? It's all, you're in control. You don't, you work for yourself. But then like at the end, then there's the other side. Like you do work for you. There's nothing else on the other end, I mean, it's my trading. Like if I just decide not to pay attention to like I was in Pepe trade and I had to go to my dad's funeral, and I still did Wendy O's show from 12. My dad's funeral was at like 2:00, 1:30, and I did Wendy O's show from like 12 to 1, you know. And then and I sold Pepe on her show, like on my other window. I had 6 screens. I was like, man, Binance listing. And I've been going through and swing trading that trade, and I was up really, really big, and it was going to be a nice profit. And had I just cried all day and I can't look at my computer, I can't do this right now, and you know what? Like you can say that, and everyone would give me the right. Like I could tell my wife, like I can't go live right now. I just need to be alone. I'm gonna go for a drive. Like I just go walk in the woods, and like you know what? No one would blame me for it. Everyone would be like, his mom died on Thanksgiving. Like, you know, he can go into a hole for 2 weeks. And again, I haven't been myself. I'm not saying I'm perfectly 100%. Uh, I have taken more time alone, but the charts help. When I don't want to think of my mom or the pain, I just look at the charts. I scan for altcoins. It almost is a place for me to go, right? And this does tie into the topic of tonight because you're gonna hit a high point in your life where you may actually lose someone too, and you're gonna have to, gear up, and you're gonna have to grieve, find time to grieve, and also still find time to handle business, and you know yeah. With that being said, let's bring it over to Crypto Queen. Queen, are you there? Says connecting. Or just flip your speaker on. That's all. I think you just gotta flip the mic on.
Hi there, Sam.
There you go.
How are
How's
you?
it going, Queen?
Yeah, good,
How
thank
you been?
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I'm really
Thank you.
grateful and honored that you share and that you're so vulnerable with everyone in the space. I appreciate that. And to that point, everything that you're saying about spending time with loved ones and the grief and everything, it's true and correct. And yeah, I just wanted to pop up and say thank you. And I appreciate when people share their stories in spaces because it shows a level of vulnerability aside from, just the money and chasing. And yeah, we're all here to try and create some wealth, but to actually be able to stay in a vibration of connecting with people, I think is really important with the work that I do too. Your energy, your vibration, and your frequency is as important as looking at the charts. So I just really want to say to everyone, ensure that you nurture that side as well and take care of you in all of this. And, do get out in nature, do take a walk, ground yourself. Hey, sugar. Spend some time, whatever it is for you. Meditation looks different for everyone. Might be walking along the beach. It doesn't mean you have to sit and close your eyes, but might be sitting on a hill. It might be spending time with your kids actually and laughing and remembering to do all of that as well. For me, I'm a new trader, Sam, and so I have found it to be really important to actually take some time out. Like I'm from Australia, and I've currently come to Bali for a couple of weeks for that reason, just to take some time out. Yeah, so thanks anyway. Well, that's said enough.
I'm just blown away. Like spaces really takes you to another place. You started to talk, and I closed my eyes, and my mom was a soothing, beautiful woman. And I'm not. You just have a soothing, feminine voice, and I'm listening to you talk, and it's so calming. And I can hear that you could feel my pain and kind of, and because I'm a leader of a trading group, and I'm supposed to have it always together. I have to be the man that knows it all, that sees it all.
Well, Sam,
And
that's
so for
sorry to interrupt you. That's interesting point of view that you think you have to always have it together, because I think what actually allows you to grow your business and your group is actually being vulnerable, because that creates connection with more people. So that's the reason why I came up to speak, actually. And I've given you a follow, and I'd like to actually connect outside of the space. So being you, I think, is as important as trying to keep it together all the time.
no, I think I have like a spiritual God that helped me grow my group, and she was with me since the beginning. And she's always said that. She said, and she's reminded me of it too when when I've missed, when I'm just such into the business of running the group. It should be like, you built it with love, and it's like there's a reason why people feel different in your group than other groups. It's and so I do try to, like, even when I do go out, but a part of you as a human always says, is someone going to judge me? You know, like, think I'm not going to work hard enough because sometimes I'm going to think of my mom. You know what I mean? I guess I think it's like a very critical mind that I have, and I think is people are going to be critical of me and what I do, and but you just made me think of a good point. That's how people think themselves into a hole, and they don't express it because they find reasons not to let anything out, right? No matter what it is. I've always found to let it out, you know. And again, I believe I find my purpose through the last few years of my life, and I truly believe my purpose is to, like, be vulnerable. Like, God would put me here to be confident enough to go through emotions in front of the public, like, so other people can feel free. I've had women and a few men reach out to me recently, when my dad passed and my mom passed, and they said, and I didn't know this. Like, they actually matured me because I'm sometimes not that deep, and sometimes I'm so into the charts, I become a bot. And, like, as emotional and introspective as I become, I can shut portions of that off and be just all about the math. And someone said, you freed a lot of men recently. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, like, when you cry and open up, like, you let other men know that it's okay to have emotions. And at the time I was like, what do you like? I still was like, what? Like, but and a few other people reached out to me and said similar things to me. And not even all men and women, just people in general. But, like, when you let out your emotions, you let other people find their way, right? And you losing your mother unexpectedly at 74 years old on Thanksgiving is probably as hard as it can get. It's probably one of the hardest things you could deal with in your life. And I'm sure there's harder. I didn't lose my kids, thank God, so far. I hope I never do. Whenever I'll share, and someone will be like, "Oh, I lost my daughter," and I'll be like, "Ah." It'll be the one thing that will make me think of losing my mom is like a walk in the park. I'm like, well, I mean, that's, you know, and the greatest thought about it was my dad had passed, and my mom got to be with my dad. So, like, and she was really missing him. So I find gratitude. The coolest thing I think about it was, and I'm a math guy, I'm a trader, so I'm always about probability. It's funny, everything I look at now in life is probability. And I said, my mom, once my dad died, my mom said she needed time alone to, like, deal with the death alone, so she could find her own schedule, find her own. And I kept, hanging out for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, and then she would really kind of make it a point to me, like, I need to kind of spend some time alone. And I was worried about her and her health, and I kind of didn't want her to be alone. And my wife was like, she shouldn't be alone. She should be around her family and her grandkids and just be distracted and get through this. But my mom asked for what she wanted, and we gave it to her. So most of her time from when my dad passed in May throughout the summer, but, after the summer ended, September, October, she was alone, you know, and, she might spend a weekend with one of us, but, of the 30 days, she would spend 25 days alone. And so the odds were very low that she would have died with her family around her. You know, the odds were higher that she would have died alone because she was alone a lot. And so to me, I find gratitude that she was taken with us around her, because that was low. The odds were low. And if the odds were low, then it had to have been a gift, you know. And then I don't believe in a coincidence at all, you know. And she kind of deserved to go quick. She deserved to go easy. She deserved not to miss her husband anymore, that she knew since she was 20 years old.